Okay, good morning. Here, I have one more person to admit. Let's get that started. My name is Linda Hall. I'm one of the co-founders of Connect to Community. We're a nonprofit serving young adults with developmental disabilities and their families with a focus on preparing for and navigating transition out of school and into a full and meaningful life in the community. This Friday Forum is part of a larger educational outreach initiative that also includes monthly informational tours and an annual transition summit. And we hope that the information that we share at these events will help you, just get information to build that meaningful life for your loved one. Our speakers today are Carole Rosen and Darwin May. As an advocacy program specialist at the REV UP Illinois, Carole manages the REV UP grant through the American Association of People with Disabilities and the UP grant through the American Association of People with Disabilities, and serves as the Going Home Coalition Manager funded through the Coleman Foundation and the Grassroots Project. Carole served as a governor-appointed member of the Illinois Council on Developmental Disabilities from 2014 until 2020. While serving on the council, she served on its executive committee and chaired the Community Housing and Inclusion Committee. Her driving belief is that community is strengthened by diversity and inclusion. Additionally, Carole is certified as a financial wellness trainer for people with disabilities through the National Disability Institute. In addition to her Master's of Interior Design degree, she's a certified aging in place specialist with additional coursework in universal design. Carole and her husband, William, have a daughter who has developmental disabilities and a non-disabled son. As a longtime participant of the Going Home Coalition, Darwin May is a strong advocate for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. He is one of the founding members of REV UP Illinois and has been a REV UP co-presenter on voter education and registration at the REV UP Illinois since 2022. Darwin lives in the Chinatown neighborhood of Chicago and has served as an election judge for 10 years. He likes to always be active and on the go, and every summer he enjoys attending Joni and Friends Family Retreat. We're so happy to have the two of them here to discuss such an important topic. So please help me welcome Carole and Darwin.
Thank you so much, Linda. So we're going to be covering the 5 W's of voting, and then we're going to go into more specifics about REV UP Illinois. So you've introduced us, so that's wonderful. I don't have to go into that.
Today, we're going to go over the 5 W's of voter registration and voting. These are what, why, who, when, where, and we're throwing in an H for how just for fun. Let's begin.
Sorry, I'm using a computer to speak.
Are you okay with that? You just need a little time. Darwin's amazing. He uses his device to do this, and it's not as streamlined as I would think. And sometimes it's super precise to get it going, and then sometimes just have to give it a little pause, but we get there.
What is voting? According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the definition of voting is a usually formal expression of opinion or will in response to a proposed decision, especially one given as an indication of approval or disapproval of a proposal, motion, or candidate for office. Voting is the act of choosing someone or something in an election. An example of voting for a person could be voting for the next mayor of your city. Also, you could vote for something you would like in your county or vote against something you would not like in your county. Voting is our power, our right, and our hope. Slide 6. Justin Whitlock Dart Jr. was an American activist and advocate for people with disabilities. He helped to pass the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 and co-founded the American Association of People with Disabilities. He said, vote as if your life depends on it because it does. Voting is your right and your power. Your vote matters and can make a difference. Your vote can have a big impact on policies affecting people with disabilities and who is elected. Voting is part of being a responsible citizen and participating in a democracy. Voting helps in having your voice heard. Voting is a right and a privilege you have as a United States citizen. Voting allows you to give your opinion and vote for leaders to represent you. It demonstrates your beliefs at the levels of city, county, state, and country. Voting is so important because it allows you to participate in our democratic process. Slide 9 even should.
Okay, so okay, you got me all nervous because it was reading the slide number, Doan. Okay, so who can
Sorry,
register?
I highlight the wrong thing.
I got you. Don't worry about it. We're like a pro team. It just takes a second. All right, so who can register to vote? I think this is going to help you answer some part of your question. So you must be a United States citizen, and you must be 17 years old on or before the date of the primary election and turn 18 on or before the date of the general or consolidated election. You can also pre-register to register to vote at 16 now. And there's a great thing that if you're going to get a state ID, you can just check a box and it will automatically register to you to vote when you can. And that's something that is so easy. I did that with my 16-year-old, and I know that he's all set up. When he turns 18, that'll do that automatically. So you must also live in your election precinct at least 30 days prior to election day. So if you move and there's an upcoming election, it's really important to get that change of address in so you're allowed to vote in whatever election is coming up. You also must not be serving a sentence of confinement for a crime and be in a penal institution. And you may not claim the right to vote anywhere else. So you only get one vote, and that's important to remember too, contrary to what some people are saying. So guardianship and voting. So even if someone has a guardian, it is such an important right that they have the right to vote. The only way, and I don't think there's many people out there how this would even serve them, is to actually go to court, petition the court to strip away the person's right to vote. So that really doesn't happen. And it's so important that even under guardianship, our jobs are to support that person in the best way possible and help them vote.
When should I register to vote? You should register to vote if you have never registered before, if you have moved, or if you have changed your name. Otherwise, you are already registered and do not need to do anything before you vote.
So what do you need to register to vote? You're going to need 2 pieces of identification. Neither one of them needs to be a photo ID, but one must include your current address. Acceptable forms of ID can include Social Security card. That makes it way easier. An Illinois driver's license, an Illinois state ID, an employee or student ID, a birth certificate, a utility bill in an applicant's name, mail postmarked to the applicant, a valid US passport, a link card, like public aid ID card, a credit card, or lease or rental contract. So these are all things we can use. If you want to register online, if you have a social security card, even the last 4 digits, and a driver's license or Illinois state ID that is current, you can register to vote in 5 minutes, pretty much online.
In Illinois, you can choose from 3 ways to register to vote: going to a government office or polling place in person, sending your registration form by mail, or filling out your registration form online. It doesn't take long to register to vote, but depending on when you vote, it is a little different depending on the method you choose. We've included 2 ways for you to register online. You can choose whichever way is easiest for you. On the left, you can click the link to get to the site to register, or you can use the camera on your phone and aim at the QR code on the right. That will bring up a link for you to click on, which also takes you to the site where you can register. You can register online to vote in upcoming elections by state identification or your driver's license. You can even register to vote online with just your social security number. In that case, you would need to fill out the form online and then mail it in. Online voter registration is open now, but the last day to register to vote online is October 20th. How can you register to vote in person? If you want to register to vote in person before Election Day, you can go to many different places. These locations include any office of the Illinois Secretary of State, your local Board of Elections office, other government buildings, and any early voting location. How do I vote? There are 3 ways to cast a ballot to vote. Eligible voters can vote by mail, participate in early voting at specific locations, or vote on Election Day at their assigned polling place.
So if you prefer you to vote by mail, it's like a bit of a 2-step process. So what we've included here, again, it should work on the PDF that Linda has, and we'll get to everyone. There's a voting by mail agreement. That's a link. You can also use the QR code, and you would point your phone on your camera there, and then you don't take a picture. It just outlines it in yellow, and you click on that link and it'll take you to the vote by mail website. And then here's what that will look like when it comes up. And so you'll click on that, go through the prompts like I agree. And then it also asks you to select your jurisdiction, which is really important. And if you need support to do that, we always say, like, please get support to do that too, because there are about 102 jurisdictions throughout Illinois to choose from. So that's a little bit of a detail that you need to do that correctly. The other really nice thing is now you can vote by mail for one election, or you can choose to vote permanently by mail. The nice thing is that voting by mail gives you the option to take things a little more slowly and do your research and research the candidates and the issues. It also you have to get it in by Election Day. We need to remember that and put it in that drop box for security. And the other thing is, even if you get a by mail ballot, you are still allowed to go to a polling place. You just can't send in your mail ballot and then go vote at the polling place. So that's one thing to bear in mind too, but it's a great option for people.
If I prefer to vote in person, where do I go to vote? Where you go to vote is called a polling place. They will be places nearby in your community, such as a library, school, house of worship, police department, town hall, or other municipal buildings.
I'm sorry, I'm messing up.
You want me to wait, or you want me to do this one and you queue up slide 18?
My hand
What?
is clamping up. I'm sorry.
I wish I was there. All right, so do you want to do slide 18 and I'll do this slide?
And I think
You got it?
no, I don't.
All right. Can you queue up one in the first, like go ahead, and then I'll just do this one.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right, so now we're going to talk about how you find your polling place. So a lot of times, once you're a registered voter, you'll receive a card in the mail that's telling you where to go. But if you'd like to look up your polling place, here on this slide, again, we have a link to a polling place lookup. And you can also use the QR code in the bottom right corner. And again, you're going to use the camera on your phone to pull up the website and the link. It'll ask you for your 5-digit zip code, and you just simply put your 5-digit zip code into the box, and then you're going to hit submit. It might ask you for additional information, but it will give you your polling place. So some places are actually open already now for early voting before the November general elections. Early polling places also offer you the opportunity to register on site and vote on the same day. And then what's your favorite piece of advice, Dawen?
Vote early to beat the long line
Yeah, that's like
on
Dawen.
election day.
Yeah, Dawen is very much in support of voting early. And do you want to tell everyone also if they need the accessible, what's the other reason you like to vote early?
That they got touch screens. They got a lot of touch screens. On election day, it's only one. So you can be waiting for 5-10 minutes for the other person to go.
So I didn't know that either. And we'll get to that, but Dawen's been an election judge for 8 years. So he knows all the ins and outs of the polling places. Dawen, you think you're caught up now? That
Yeah.
you can take 18?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
What ways can you vote in person? There are 2 ways to vote in person. One is by paper ballot. The other is by electronic voting machine. Polling places should be accessible. This means there should be accessible parking and entryways to the polling place. Polling places should also be able to provide options for people who may need large print materials, a magnifying glass, touchscreen voting machines, and assistance if necessary to help you access a paper ballot or voting machine. Someone can help you vote if needed. They just can't tell you who to vote for. That's completely up to you.
So we talked about this a little bit, but what ID do you need when you go to vote? So technically, Illinois does not require voters to present identification while voting. But I always say to first-time voters who registered by mail and did not submit their driver's license, your state ID number, or your social security number, it's a good idea to bring those things to the polling place, because why take the time to wait in line and do all that and just wait and then not have the materials that you would need? You can cast a ballot without the ID. But it just helps because then you're still going to have to submit that proper ID to get that ballot counted. It's called a provisional ballot. And so you still are able to vote. Gosh, we're so challenged today.
You may be asking, how do you learn about the candidates? Knowledge is power. Learning about what's going to be on your ballot and the issues you are voting on is an important part of becoming a well-informed voter. Here are some ways we learn about important issues coming up in the election. Becoming a well-informed voter includes finding out what's on the ballot, researching key issues in your community, and learning where candidates stand on issues that are important to the disability community.
So how do we learn about the issues? Here are some resources, and there's other resources that are not necessarily listed here, but some of them are the Illinois Voter Guide, Vote 411, Vote Smart, Ballotpedia, which is sometimes considered to be a little bit more progressive, and Ballot Ready. The really wonderful thing about Ballot Ready as a resource is that you can do the research ahead of time, and Ballot Ready has a mock ballot that you can fill out and print out or have on your phone and use when you get to the polling place. That's a really nice tool. And especially for someone who's going to do a bit of research, mark their answers, maybe go back in and fill out their mail-in ballot, or go to the polling place and work with a voting buddy. Here's what I call the golden ticket. These are just the QR codes that we pretty much mentioned to you earlier. One on the upper left is how to register to vote. The bottom left is registering to vote by mail. The one on the upper right is finding your polling place. And the one on the bottom right is your voter registration lookup. Like if you think you've registered, then it's a great idea to check in. Here are voting resources that, let's say you only have your social security number. You could use this link to print out the Illinois voter registration application in either Spanish or English. This is what I did with my daughter. She didn't have an ID at that point. So we just used her social and filled it out and mailed it in. However, again, if you want to vote in this very, very important election, I believe that the date to do that has passed. So then your option would be to register to vote on site and vote on the same day if you don't have that ID and social. Okay, now we are going into the next part of our presentation, and we're really talking about REV UP Illinois as a coalition, and we'd love to tell you more about what we do and how we engage people and build the power of the disability vote.
The ARC of Illinois was first awarded the REV UP grant in 2022. This year, REV UP received an unprecedented amount of applications. From the 98 applications received, 72 projects were awarded the grant in 28 states. In D.C., the ARC of Illinois was the sole recipient of the AAPD's REV UP grant in Illinois and was awarded the REV UP Illinois Coalition designation to begin building the power of the disability vote through collaboration with organizations like yours. We're only able to reach new heights when we partner and share REV UP's goals.
And that means individuals too. Like if you have a classroom and someone's interested in it, please, you're welcome to join us.
REV UP Illinois is all about building the power of the disability vote through increasing civic engagement in the disability community and improving the accessibility of elections. REV UP stands for Register, Educate, Vote, and Use Your Power. Although REV UP is a national movement, we believe change happens at the local level. REV UP believes in the power of grassroots organizing. REV UP has coalitions in 21 states and partners across the country. Today we will be asking you to become a part of REV UP Illinois and join us in getting out the word about the importance of the disability vote.
You let me know. Do you want me to take that one?
Yeah, you can.
Okay.
My
right.
hand is pumping up this morning.
Well, you're catching us like at a new thing. So it's good that we're all here. So today, as we said, we're going to be sharing ideas of how we can collaborate on REV UP Illinois' 2024 goals, and how, as individuals, and if you're part of an organization or know organizations that may be interested in this, help to increase voter visibility, voter outreach, increase polling place accessibility, combat voter suppression, and overall build civic engagement. And we want you to all consider and imagine the power of the disability vote as we increase voter engagement. There are millions of people with disabilities not voting, and if we can activate them and have them voting on disability issues, it really is a vehicle for change. You good there?
With REV UP Illinois and make a difference. We are looking for individuals and organizations to collaborate with us. In 2023, REV UP presented to over 24 different organizations. If you are part of an organization that supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities in any way, let's explore how you can make a difference. All are welcome. We are engaging individuals and organizations such as advocacy groups run by self-advocates. Are you a part of transition programs or secondary education programs? Are you part of a center for independent living or a center on deafness? Are you part of a voters' rights advocacy group that wants to further its inclusivity goal? Special recreation associations are also a great opportunity to engage your participants about voting.
Here's where I think this is going to clear up your question. Again, the right to vote is so incredibly important for all US citizens that the Department of Justice came out and said that states cannot ban people from voting or registering to vote just because they have a guardian or a conservator. They cannot make rules that make voters work harder to show that they're eligible to vote, like through petitioning the court to vote or take any kind of competency test. They cannot ban voters with disabilities from receiving the help that they need to vote, and that voters can get help requesting, completing, or returning a ballot. And they can get help when they vote in person, absentee, or by mail-in ballot. And they can get help from someone they choose, just not just from an election worker, which they can have help them. And they can also get help with putting their ballot in a mailbox or drop box. And they must be able to get help from someone they choose. When you go to a polling place, those poll workers will be able to help you. You can really go to anyone and request that help. However, I just want to make it clear that those workers are not necessarily trained to work with people with disabilities. So if you have a different voting buddy, it doesn't have to be mom or dad. It can be someone there to support the person voting, because we want to make sure that people keep their vote their own. And there's also one regulation that if you are, let's say, a union worker, you're not supposed to be that person's voting buddy. Okay.
Slide 31. We have a REV UP Illinois meeting coming up in the next couple of weeks. Please write down your information in the chat, and we will email you the invite to the virtual REV UP Illinois meeting invite. We'll be speaking with our REV UP partners and folks like me who have previously participated in REV UP activities. This picture was from when I recently spoke at the National REV UP online event. Other participants include United States Secretary of Transportation, Pete Buttigieg, and the United States Secretary of Labor, Julie Su. It was awesome, and I am so grateful for the opportunity to have participated. To keep up the momentum, we will be meeting monthly virtually. We will be using the time to connect, catch up, Collaborate, share project ideas, activate advocates around voting, and celebrate what participants are doing. Attendance is not mandatory. We'll be recording the meetings for our members to share out there. REV UP Illinois does a lot of outreach. What ways can you involve your legislators in voter registration and education? We can provide you with talking points or co-present with you.
Tell me if you want me to take it.
My nail, it keep popping on me.
I'm sorry. Do you want me to take this one and catch up on the next one?
Yeah,
Okay, so we just had Disability Voters' Rights Week in September, and it was really great. And this was another important and fairly simple way that people got the word out. So it was September 9th until the 13th. And last year, both Governor Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson from Chicago provided proclamations. And then this year, also Governor Pritzker also provided a proclamation. And then it was a great way just to get it out there in social media. So if next year during Disability Voting Rights Week, if people are involved, they can ask on a local level to do a proclamation through their mayors, and we're able to post it. It's a great way to promote your organization and Disability Voters Rights Week. I'm definitely not doing this slide. You are doing this slide.
if I don't pick my hand,
Oh, I'm so sorry, Darwin. It was fine last night. Do you want me to just keep going? See if you can queue up another one, and I'll just do it, and then you can catch up and just say, "Hey, I'm
I-
queued up for 35."
again.
Well, why don't you tell? I don't want to steal your thunder.
I
So,
got it.
okay, so you've got it?
I have been an election judge for 8 years since I registered to vote in high school. I really like to engage people and talk to them about how they can become an election judge and make a difference. It is important that people with disabilities get more involved. I enjoy my work with REV UP Illinois and giving presentations. Here is a picture of me at We Talk Center talking about voter education and registration. We can collaborate with you to do something similar. After the presentation, REV UP was able to provide voter registration materials in Chinese to We Talk Center participants.
This is a really wonderful video series that is up on the Arc of Illinois' website. And this also teaches a lot of other advocacy skills. While we did do voter education and registration, we also have 2 modules on how a bill becomes a law in the state and how a bill becomes a law federally. We also have modules on looking up your legislators, crafting an elevator speech for when you speak to them, how to submit a witness slip, arranging a meeting with your legislator, and kind of things that they're looking for when you come to speak with them. This is a very important election, and an organization came to us and asked us to develop a module on discussing politics with civility. We just presented it again at Speak Up and Speak Out through the Arc of Illinois 2 days ago. And then Dawen was also a part of the How to Become an Election Judge at Polling Places module with the Illinois State Board of Elections. And that link is there. And if you just even go up to the ARC of Illinois website and type in like legislative webinar series, that'll come up. And we can present those, like, again, if you know an organization and you want some kind of presentation like that, we're happy to represent it. And we have a network of self-advocates that co-presents with us, and or we can work with somebody who'd like to learn how to do those kind of presentations. The other thing that we've done that's been very successful in registering people to vote at SODC, at the state operated developmental centers, is a community resource fair that the state has to engage people on the possibility of moving out of the state operated developmental centers and into community residential settings. So this has been one way that people are coming in with their voter registration. They're able to get certain documents reassigned and to them. And then we're also been able to reestablish polling places on site at the SODCs. So that's something that's super exciting that's come out of the REV UP grant. The other thing that we've done is we mentioned that over 24 organizations partnered with the ARC of Illinois last year, and that we've really reached out and we've had outreach to over 260,000 people and co-branded with the Illinois State Board of Elections, other advocacy groups, and it's just been great. And now with REV UP Illinois, we really leave some of that to the organizations that have joined with us or the individuals to come to us and say, hey, I'd love to do this pop-up table at this farmer's market, or I'd love to do, you know, some event here with my school, or, you know, just all kinds of ideas. An adaptive climbing group was like, oh, we want to do a pop-up at our climbing storefront. Also, there was Disability Voters Rights Week, and using social media to promote voting, the importance of voting. And we do have social media platforms for REV UP Illinois on Instagram and Facebook, and a lot of voting information comes through Going Home Coalition's Facebook page too. And so we want to steer you towards that if you are on social media. Did I skip a whole slide? Oh, Darwin, I skipped you. I'm sorry. Can you do 40?
Yeah.
This is very interesting today.
My finger.
You think you got it?
Yeah, someday my finger don't want to work.
So do you want me to take that one?
I got
Okay, good. Literally just practiced last night. Everything was fine, so.
my finger.
I'm sorry.
It's a finger problem.
We're going to talk about this later. I have some ideas.
Here is an idea that was presented by the Evans family of Glen Ellen. Miles, shown in the center, teamed up with his local chapter of League of Women Voters of Glen Ellen and Wheaton and the Western DuPage Special Recreation Association, WTSRA. This event took place in 2022 and engaged aid program participants in voter education outreach efforts aimed at adults with disabilities. Adult participants engaged in an interactive presentation on what it means to be a voter, voted in a mock election, and ended with the opportunity to become a registered voter. Voter outreach engaged dozens of adults with disabilities in the western suburbs of Chicago, helping the League of Women Voters further its mission of ensuring everyone is represented in our democracy. Could you create a collaborative team and do something similar? Slide 44. We are so excited to see.
Okay, I'm going to skip these just because we've been having technical difficulties, but these are videos that through the PDFs you're going to be able to find. Maybe we can go back to it. I just don't want to tempt fate here. So,
Yeah,
this was a
I
really-
don't want the
I know. This was a really lovely story. So on the left is Erin Compton, and 2 years ago at the ARC of Illinois conference, Erin was able to register herself with a little bit of support to register to vote, and it was really wonderful, and she just stuck with it. And then this year at the ARC conference, Caroline O'Hara wanted to register to vote. And so Erin was able to help her friend register to vote. And you can see them together, and you can see how the paper, they use the QR codes to get to the voter registration site and that like golden ticket that I talked to you about. And they registered Caroline to vote. So it's really great that, you know, friends could help friends. This was from Disability Pride Parade the year before, and people posed with signs, and just, it was a really nice video because a lot of people were there from the state, and they were just really great about posing also. Oops, sorry. Here's the Special Olympics, and this was really wonderful. Little City Foundation and the ARC of Winnebago, Boone, and Ogle were on site and really engaged people about voting and got people's names to engage in Rev Up Illinois future meetings. And we've done really fun things, including having the Special Olympics No Limits cheer team. They've been awesome, and they did a cheer for Disability Voters' Rights Week, and that's all up on the Rev Up Illinois Facebook page. Darwin, are you queued up there, or do you want me to just take this? Yeah. 45.
We are so excited to see how people have been engaging. There are so many great ideas that we are hearing, and we want to support you in any way possible. The energy has definitely already building. Individuals have become election judges. Organizations would like to do polling place accessibility audits on election day, and there are groups that want to do a candidate forum for local elections. Even the Special Olympics special cheer team did a routine on voting. It turned out great and is up on the Rev Up Facebook page. We're looking forward to seeing you at our next meeting, or email us to bounce around some ideas you may have.
We're wrapping up. So Rev Up Illinois is meant to be very, very inclusive. It's also nonpartisan. Sometimes people ask that as well, but we really want to engage as many people as we can, you know, and meet them where they're at. So we have some centers for independent living that are doing these polling place audits. And then we have great stuff like people just doing healthy cooking videos about and then talking about voting while they're doing that, and just really neat types of engagement. Are you queued up there, Dawen? You want me to just do it?
Here is a list of how some participants will be engaging. We're looking forward to seeing you at our next meeting. What ideas will you have?
Thank you. And that concludes our presentation. We hope that you'll join us. We do have a meeting coming up like within the next 2 weeks. So please reach out or jump on the Rev Up Illinois page, and we will be happy to get you that invite. Here's my contact information. Here's the admin. If you just want to send her, like, put me on the Rev Up Illinois list, and she'll put you on there. But if you have other questions, feel free to reach out to me, Carole at the arcofill.org. And then here are links to our Facebook pages and the ARC of Illinois newsletter sign up, the newsletter archive, and all kinds of good information. Darwin, I think I'm going to let people just ask questions.
Carole, I have a question or two.
Yeah.
So for voting in person, there was a conversation on the iPad group recently that someone had talked about their prior experiences in other elections, that the person who was assisting the person with disabilities was asked to sign something. Do you know what that was, or is that still in place?
I'm going to turn over that question to the election
To the
judge,
election judge, yes.
When
you ask people to help you, they do got to sign the signature on the paper to say you assist that person.
Okay.
do they always make you do that, or just
Yeah.
sometimes? They should be asking you to do that.
They always, sometimes they forget to do it, and sometimes I think you have to sign this because you help me.
And does the person with the disability have to sign anything, or just the person who's assisting them?
The person disability gotta still sign in as normal.
Okay, just like everyone signs in. Okay.
Yeah, everybody have to sign in so they can pull you up on the system.
All right.
No.
And what I'm sure this doesn't happen where you're an election judge, Darwin, because you're making sure, but if someone has difficulty, if they're hassled in any way, if they're not being, if things aren't accessible, or they're saying they can't vote with assistance, or whatever that is, what do they do? What's the recourse? Is there someone they should contact? Hopefully all the election judges are well trained, but does that happen ever?
No. No.
Okay, so they all know.
Now, I hear parents all the time saying, like, poll workers are giving us the stink eye. And, I've heard people say that that sometimes the site is not accessible, and that's problematic. So we have the right to report these issues to Equip for Equality, our protection and advocacy agency, and the Illinois State Board of Elections. There is a place that you can report those to. But even knowing your rights as a voter, like if someone starts to, maybe even unintentionally, like as I mentioned, poll workers are not trained to work with people with disabilities. Like that would be a really huge thing. We've talked about that at Rev Up meetings, that someone sort of develop a statewide training for poll workers to make sure that they have the training and just even, courtesy to work with people with disabilities and the people that support them. So I think some of that happens unintentionally because there's a lack of education. But if it were to really turn into something, and then you absolutely have the right to report it.
Yeah. Equip for Equality it's going in and out all day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's poll watchers too, and that's the kind of thing that if someone were on site, that you could say that to them as well. And then the other thing to remember is that here's our issues are coming up that are being reported, that the inside accessibility of the polling place is not necessarily watched by the people who make sure that the outside of the polling place is accessible. So that's a very big deal too, in that regard. And then, you have people who are very interested in voter suppression, and they're saying in some cases that a site isn't accessible, and that's not their motive. Their motive is to make the case that the site is not accessible so that they can get the polling place decertified, and then people in that district can't vote as easily. So people are really there's a lot of things that are true, that just systemic oppression and people trying to cause oppression of voters, not just people with disabilities. But yeah, I mean, the election is so important. I don't think I stated that at the introduction, but this is such an important year. And we, again, Rev Up is nonpartisan, but the fact that we can vote, it's a hugely important right at this point in the United States, right? We want to take advantage of being able to vote. Any other questions? Amy, did that answer your question with the every question you had, the voting buddy and the support and all that? I hope so, but if there's more to it, please feel free.
Yeah, I just have one, and maybe it's some, I'll ask it. So I get all of that. It was almost everything was addressed. Do you, as the voting buddy, or it's kind of two parts, before the voter goes in to vote, do they have to identify a voting buddy? Is there something they have to send in beforehand? They can just simply bring the buddy with them to the
Or-
polling place, and
Yeah.
or the mail, however you
No,
choose to do
you
that.
just-
Okay.
Yeah, you can just, and let's say the person is more comfortable asking a poll worker, you know, because not everyone wants to work with a parent or a support person, right? They are entitled to ask any of the poll workers to assist them at the polling site also.
Right on the spot.
And
Okay.
that's why I like Ballot Ready, because if, you know, whatever, if the person is slightly anxious, if the person, you know, the processing of reading something on a polling machine versus reading something on a touch screen, like these are all things that if you use that time and do that mock ballot, I like it. And, you know, I like it. Right, Darwin? Someone can ask any poll watcher to help them.
And no, not poll watcher, poll
Oh, I'm
work,
sorry. Polling judge, election judge. Sorry.
judges. The
Okay.
poll watcher cannot do anything for
Yeah.
you.
And does the person who's voting, who wants assistance, have to verbalize that I want assistance?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Or
and
you
that's a good point.
Or you can ask your parents, but they do gotta sign something.
And so Darwin told me, I usually interview Darwin, and one of the things he talks about is like, Darwin, do you use your parents as voting buddies?
No,
Right. So Darwin, it's like, he's like, no, I don't use them, but you do need a voting buddy still.
yes, I get whoever working in the back.
And Darwin uses a touch screen,
Mhm.
but what happens? Why do you need the voting buddy still?
To read the question for me.
Mm-hmm.
To read the question out loud.
Yeah.
For me.
And then Darwin
But they just cannot tell me who to pick for.
right. And
Yeah.
then Darwin, he said that even though the touchscreen is considered accessible, he still can't quite reach the
I
complete.
can't reach everything because they're too high or
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. No.
I just have one follow-on question about the ballot ready and the mock ballot. So what I wrote down in my notes was that you can do the mock ballot, you can print out the results, and you can essentially your choices, and you can take that in with you to vote. So
Mhm.
you can use that and simply then just choose. Okay, good. I've never
Yeah.
I wouldn't think you could do that. So I think that's really wonderful.
Right. If that's the
Um,
support you need, and then you can also, like, even if you had it on you know, an Ogcom device or a phone or something, you're allowed, if you need that.
For me, I've been going on the website and getting a sample ballot and screenshotting it
Mm-hmm.
to put it on my phone. Then I can mark up the picture like a ballot marking up the paper or whatever, then you can take it in if you want to copy it and put it on the real ballot, you can. That's how I do it.
That's smart. Yeah.
because when you go in there, it's just a lot of people walking around and you can't even focus.
Yeah.
Like if you have it on your phone, you can simply copy it onto the real thing.
Yeah. Darwin has really such great experience with all of this. And, you know, his high school had him register, like he was able to vote in a general election because he had turned 18, but he had registered prior with his program. So, and then right away, like Darwin has been an election judge. I mean, you're super committed to the democratic process. It's like, it's amazing. Darwin teaches me stuff all the time that I didn't even know or understand. And the great thing is that Darwin has really motivated people, like just in our group through Going Home Coalition, we have people who are now becoming election judges, and it's a paid position for people. So it's really nice for them to be more civically engaged.
Oh no, it's a long day of work.
Yes. Yeah, it's a really long day. It's Darwin, what time do you have to be there?
5 a.m.
Yeah. But he does it, loves it. So 8 years. And you train every time. So that's great.
Yeah.
Are there any other questions?
Any other questions? Feel free to ask any question.
If you do up a sample ballot and you want assistance, can you give it to an election judge and just go in with them and have them just copy what you put on? If you
No.
think that person can't read, no.
I believe that is prohibited
Okay,
because it's just rule that they can't touch your stuff,
okay,
like your device, your chair. They can't touch.
okay. So they can read it, they can read the question to you or the candidates to you, and you can just say
Yeah,
what you've chosen.
They can touch their own devices, like the
Okay.
touch screen or the
That's interesting because my daughter
ballot.
does need help with that. Like she can't really reach up and touch, but she goes with her support professional and they do it. But we requested permanent vote by mail for her, but she likes to go to the polling places. And you know, the nice thing is people are like, what if, you know, they don't understand? I guarantee you voters, no voter understands everything they're voting for. I just think it's a really unrealistic expectation that people think like, oh, they have a disability, they shouldn't be voting. They don't understand. And I'm like, wow, if you poll voters now, I know that nobody knows everything. That's just the way it is. So yeah, that's why I like Ballot Ready too, because you can take your time. I like the mail-in ballot. You can do a little research, but I mean, I don't know about you, but I grab that card and I go along, you know, with the card recommendations, and I'm fine with that. So,
I research on Google.
In the news, and yeah, and try and be nonpartisan and get correct information, because that's really hard too now. What do candidates stand for? When you have to fact check candidates while they're speaking, that makes it really challenging for people to know what's real and what's not. So I know you're
I would like they should have picture on the ballot.
Yeah.
that'd be something you could advocate for through Rev Up Illinois. I mean, that's
make it a little easier because half of the name I'm like,
right. That's a great recommendation. So
like I don't even know half of the name I'm reading. Because I just look up the sample ballot. It's long.
that's a great
It's
recommendation.
really long. So,
It is. It
so
is.
I'm like,
We're all like that.
Right, everybody. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate the opportunity to present. And today was fascinating in terms of Glitch City. So thank you for being
Yeah,
patient with that.
sorry, but
No, but that well, I have like a split, so I don't know if that was it or not, but the slides were advancing and stuff. So I don't know what was going on.
Everything was,
okay.
It's
everything was
fine. We
great.
got all the information we wanted and it was good. Good to
Well,
be
we
together.
appreciate so much you spending your time with us today and sharing your knowledge, and hopefully all of us can spread the word about the importance of voting and do whatever we can to help others.
Everybody can feel free to email me if any question.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much.
Exactly. And please, we like encourage you to come to Rev Up meetings, and your son is welcome and your kids are welcome. And it's really, it's supposed to, we're there, we welcome everyone. So.
Great.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks,
This was
everyone.
wonderful. Have a
Thank
good
you.
weekend.
You too.
Have a great
Thank
rest
you.
of your
Bye-bye.
day.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.